Thank you, everybody. Before we start, I want to thank the church for shutting off the water here, because all these families and children who want to party in the water, we want to get out of here as fast as we can, get you guys back to work after lunch, and we thank the church very much for all of their help over a long period of time. I'm going to be very brief at this time. Introduce the mayor. This project would not exist but for his help, from before the beginning and probably after the end. There is no public official in America that cares more about construction workers and cares more about construction quality than Marty Walsh. And he's here. He's going to make Boston great again. Oh, my God. Anyway, without further ado, Marty Walsh.
Thank you, Dick. I want to, and I just want to clarify, when he's talking about the church, he wasn't talking about Father Rooney. Thank you, Father Rooney, for being with us today. I want to thank Dick and this amazing project. As you're seeing it go up, it's incredible to see what's happening here in the city. On the stage with us today, we have John Fish, who I'll introduce in a minute, the chairman and CEO of Suffolk Construction. My friend Alan Leventhal, who's part of this project with Dick, who's done an awful lot of work in our city with schools and education. I want to thank Brian Golden from the Boston Planning and Development Agency and all the folks from the city that are here. I want to congratulate everyone here for the topping off of One Dalton. And in particular, I want to thank all the tradesmen and women here today. Thank you very much for what you have done. This project is exciting. When I got elected mayor, prior to I was the head of the building trades, and I started working this project as the head of the building trades and supporting this project moving forward. And when I became the mayor, I asked Dick to come in one day, and he came in, and I said to him, is there any way that we could make this building taller than 742 feet? Because I wanted to have the tallest building built in Boston, and we thought about it for a little while, and we couldn't make it happen, but that's okay. It's still one of the tallest buildings in Boston, so I want to thank you for that. It's exciting to watch this building grow as it's been going up. We've already seen it transform our skyline, and it represents how dynamic Boston really is. I want to celebrate the workers who made this building happen. Your hard work has certainly paid off. This building is 742 feet and almost 900,000 work hours later. And a lot of people don't quite understand the importance of these buildings. They're not just the building that's being built where people are going to live. It's actually putting food on the table for everybody in front of me here today, and the countless numbers of workers that came in and off this project in the area. And oftentimes when people talk about construction, they talk about part-time construction jobs, and what they don't realize, they're actually not part-time to you, they're full-time jobs. And I want to congratulate all of you. One Dalton will be one of Boston's most amazing living spaces and the tallest residential building in New England. It shows that Boston is ready to grow and meet the needs of the residents and the visitors that come to our city. One Dalton will highlight the Back Bay and the Fenway. It'll continue to support our economy through tourism and city revenues, so we continue to do the great things that we're doing. And it shows the creativity and innovation in Boston's design and architects. We need to construct more housing and hotel rooms in our city because it's going to continue to move us forward. The city is certainly dedicated to making sure we bring more options to residents in all neighborhoods of all income levels. And we're joined by State Representative Byron Rushing, who's been an advocate to fight for low-income housing for the residents of Boston. So thank you, Byron, for your leadership as well. Oftentimes, people will talk about luxury buildings saying that, you know, we're not building for the poor, but what this building actually does is creating opportunities and revenue for middle-class and low-income housing in the city of Boston. So we're excited. As we build these buildings, we think about the money that comes from these projects to go into other neighborhoods in our city to make sure that we truly make investments in those areas. So that's one of the positives of here today. When we created Imagine Boston 2030, we made housing one of our biggest priorities. Our goal to reach 53,000 units by the year 2030. Already, we've permitted over 26,000 units of housing, and another 26,000 are under review right now, so we're well on our way. additions like the Four Seasons at One Dalton. We're adding also much-needed hotel rooms in our city. So I want to thank everyone who's coming out today. I want to again thank all the construction workers, the contractors. I want to thank Suffolk Construction. It's an incredible feat what's happening here. We're also, I know I saw some people coming in concerned about the environment and worried about the environment, and something that it's very important to all of us as well in the city. And our new Chief of Environmental Affairs, Chris Cook, is working to make sure that we continue to, as we continue to build in our city, we want to build smart, we want to build green, and we want to also work as we move forward in the future, how do we get alternative sources of energy to these buildings? So we're going to continue to work with all the activists in the environmental community, because it is about the future of our city. It's about the future of our kids and the future of how we're going to move forward here. So I want to thank the people for being here today, talking to us and showing us the importance of making sure that we do not forget about our environment. So thank you for being here with us. I'm excited to bring up the next person. You all know him as a major builder in the city of Boston. A lot of you know him as a philanthropic person as well. And when I call John, not about construction, but when I call him about organizations in our city, whether it's Boston Scholar Athlete or Scholar Athlete that he started, or any organization in our city, his answer is never, well, God, I can't do it right now. His answer is, what do you need? And I want to just say publicly today, I want to thank John Fish for his support. I want to thank his team. I see Angus Leary out there. Thank you, Angus, as well, for your great work with Suffolk and with John. And without further ado, the person that's building this building, John Fish.
Mayor, thank you for those kind words. Again, on behalf of Suffolk and all of our trade partners here, it's really an honor and a privilege to build this, what I call as an iconic building in the city of Boston. Please give yourselves a round of applause. I also want to thank the mayor. And when you think about leadership, you think about commitment, you've got an individual that represents us that's absolutely indefatigable, that does anything he can to look out the entire constituency of our community. I also want to thank Dick Friedman, Darren Messina, who's over here to my left, and Alan Leventhal for your leadership, your vision, and what you've truly created here in the city of Boston, which is world-renowned. The world has captured the essence of what's going on here in Boston. And thank you, gentlemen, for your leadership. Gary Johnson. I'd like to thank Gary Johnson from C7 and Paycobb Freed for their vision and the work they've done and the partnership they've created with all the trades and the general contractor on this project to produce what you're looking at today. And lastly, I'd like to thank the Christian Science for hosting this event. It means a lot to us. I think, as Dick said, that you'd shut this down and allow all of our workers to come here and celebrate. No doubt that this building is changing the brand of Boston globally. But what I want to talk about briefly is really what is really happening here today. It's really about the idea of what the impact this development is having on the city of Boston, our community, and its people. So I'd like to begin by just saying, think about how many jobs during construction, well-paying jobs, and during post-construction that this will affect. Think about the families. How many families will be able to put food on their table as a result of this job? Think about how many workers out here will have the opportunity to purchase a house and pay a mortgage because of the Boston building trades and the impact that they've had on your lives in our city of Boston. And think about this building, and think about how it will help many, many people live to their dreams and beliefs about what's possible. And this would not have happened without the gentleman in the back of me. Please give them a round of applause. In closing, I want to share a brief story. Our mayor hosted the Conference of Mayors about a month ago in the city of Boston. Mayors from all over the United States of America. The last event was at Boston Garden. And he invited the mayor, he invited the governor, the Speaker of the House, and all these different mayors throughout the United States of America. He was standing there, and he asked them, all of them, to look out not over the left field wall where the green monster was. He asked them to look out over the right field wall. And the wall that he was pointing to was this building, 1 Dalton Street. And what he said with a sense of pride is that's Boston, and that represents the city of Boston in the future Boston, and that represents Boston strong. Mayor, congratulations to you. Thank you.
So as I drove up this morning, I got out of the car and John was there and he said, "Did you ever think this day would come?" I said, "No." He said, "I didn't think so either." But here we are. It's a magnificent day, and we thank you all for being here. I think I was in England one day, and I sent an email at like 4 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. to John about something, and a.m. Eastern time, and John answered that email in about 5 or 10 minutes. So we know how hard he works and what a great company he's built, one of the great builders in the world, actually, today. So thank you, John. Now I'd like to introduce my partner, who's always silent about everything, but he's been with us from day one, Alan Leventhal, one of the great real estate guys of America, who's been our partner all the way through this project. Alan Leventhal.
Thank you, Dick. It is such an honor to be standing here, to be partners with Dick and his incredible organization, the kind words that John provided and his great company constructing this building, and of course our mayor, who is doing so much for the city and to make it a better place. And I've known the mayor since his days at Neighborhood House Charter School, and he's a reformer, and he believes in affordable housing, and he believes about providing jobs. And Mr. Mayor, I do believe, as you've thought about this building will be a symbol, part of your legacy in the future of Boston and providing opportunity. I've been involved in a lot of projects over the years. I built a lot of major buildings, but there's no building I am prouder of. And I want to comment add to a comment that the mayor made and John and Dick made. You can have all the great designers in the world. You can have all the great lenders in the world. You can have all the great consultants in the world. But the people who make it a reality are of all of you standing here, because you're the ones that build it. And of all the cities I've worked in, there's never been a more professional, higher quality, more experienced group than what you represent on this building at 1 Dalton. So I applaud all of you, and I thank you.
Okay, I've got to thank a lot of people, so I'll be very brief. But Representative, first of all, Brian Golden, is Brian here? Anyway, the Boston Planning and Development Agency has been partners with us all the way through this project. Buddy Christopher from the Inspectional Services, thank you very much. Boston Police and Fire, and I understand we have a new commissioner. That's a wonderful thing. The church, Jack, all the people from the church, we thank you very much. Lyle Osborne, Lion Osborne, and others for their support over the last 5 years. Representative Rushing, please stand up. I went to his office. He could have killed this project, but he made it happen, and we love this guy. And the people from the Back Bay Neighborhood Association, Tom Erickson and his crew from Tishman, thank you very much. Gary Johnson and Harry Cobb, obviously. We have the new general manager for the hotel, Reed Candlehalf here. Raise your hand. And Dirk Burkhartz, who's his boss, is also here. And our sales team. By the way, the sales, I won't tell you how many units are sold, but a lot. And we're doing great, thank you. And that's all due to Tracy Campion, Debbie Collins, Cecily standing here, Gabby, etc., and Alan Leventhal. And lastly, and not the most important actually, is Darren Messina, the fantastic Darren Messina, Joe Norris, Owen Fitzgerald, Laurie Silverstein, and Peter Diana, the people who really work while I give the speeches. Thank you all very much for coming. We want to get the water back on so the people who live in the neighborhood can enjoy this place as much as we do. We thank again the church for being so generous to allow us to have this celebration here. And we really have changed this city forever. This is the last building of the high spine. Maybe there'll be more, but this is the tallest residential building, I think the mayor said, north of New York. It's the third tallest building. I wish it was the tallest, but we couldn't quite make it happen. And thank you all very much for being here.